Hey, I'm Adam Thompson. I'm a consultant in strategy, organisational design and leadership, and today I'm going to go through why a lot of the modern world of work can just suck. Let's get right into it. Okay, this isn't the definitive list, but are some of the things that I think are playing a big impact on what's going on. The first is tech allows anyone to ask anything. We've got email, then we've brought other insanity devices like Slack and other ways that we can continually interrupt work. And these are across various devices, all beautifully designed to make sure that anyone can ask you to do anything, anytime, by any means. And any normal person is going to start to feel the pressure in that situation.
Inbox full.
The next factor is everyone's favourite buzzword, but that doesn't mean it's wrong, and that's complexity. The way I use it is complexity means that we don't know exactly what's going to happen. Compare it to something that can be called complicated, which means there's eventually some cause and effect in place. In a complex situation, cause and effect is not the same every time. This is a bummer if we're trying to actually get stable and figure out what to do. The next thing that's adding to this modern day pain of the world of work is the illusion that we can do it all. A combination of more people having their own ideas and wanting to achieve and do big things. Combine that with social media and all the stories of people apparently being successful, the constant drive to be more, to be better, creates this idea that unless you can do it all and live your bliss or your best life, you're somehow failing. That pervades into the workplace as well, the idea that if we just have the right method of productivity, if we can just get things going, maybe one day we'll be able to do it all. The trouble is, it's not the case at all, but it's this illusion that's causing pain. And the final aspect, remember this list isn't exhaustive, these are just the ones that I see causing the most pain, is the fear of losing job. And I'm not going to sit here saying, why don't you stand up for yourself? But here's the thing, if you're in a position to be able to do that, it might be because you're already in a position to be able to do that. Yes, we could all maybe learn to do that. Yes, we can all learn some negotiating techniques, but when that is sitting there as a real part of your life, because you're not one of the privileged few in the world that are able to actually choose from job to job, that's a very real thing that's going to add to the overbearing stress at work. Okay, wouldn't be fair to not give you some ideas of things that you can do in order to deal with this. So I've got them into some categories for you. The first category is structural. This refers to the context you sit in within the organisation. You can perhaps organise your boss to provide you more air cover so that the workload is not coming to you as full on as it is. They might be willing to do that because it'll make you more effective. You can actually have discussions about what your role is and make sure you get clear on that. Of course, very easy to say, but if you've got a chance of being able to do it, it's worth giving it a go to fix things up a bit structurally. The next category is relationally. Work occurs because someone asks someone to do something. So when people are asking you to do stuff, the trick is to be as reliable as possible. And this is going to sound counterintuitive, but if we have more stuff than we can handle, we're going to have to figure out who we're going to let down. Once we've figured out the least damaging person to let them down as soon as you can. It's going to cause you some short-term pain, but it's going to cause you some long-term gain. Make sure that the person you are going to let down is not the one that's going to make sure that you're not working there again tomorrow. Then we've got another category called work practices. This talks about the way you organize yourself. The biggest single thing you can do in terms of work practices is list all the stuff that you have to do in terms of tasks and then write the word options at the top of it and then choose 1 or 2 or 3 at a time to work on until they're finished before you choose the next one. You can have other various work practices that you do, but that's the key one. The idea is to set yourself up to acknowledge there is always going to be more water coming in than you can handle and designing a way that you can actually handle that water coming through. It's not going to solve things, it's just going to improve things a bit. Fourth category, understanding. And by understanding, I'm talking about understanding the nature of complexity. As I said before, complexity means it's never going to be sorted. And what we do is we get better at doing things, observing, and then responding to what we've seen. That's the trick to complexity. It's very uncomfortable at first because we like the idea that it can be mathematical or algorithmic or whatever word you want to use. This is not the solution to anything, but at least understanding that you're not going crazy and there is a theory or a concept that sits around this that helps it make sense can be slightly reassuring. And finally, perhaps the hardest one of all is internal work. In other words, work on yourself. And this generally does tend to come under the heading of resilience. What we are talking about here is being able to get a little bit more comfortable in a world where things are never going to quite be sorted. We were raised by parents who came from a world where things could be sorted and squared away. That's no longer the case, which is unnerving. You cannot solve this by reading a nice meme or reading 1 or 2 books. But what happens is over time, gradually the combination of understanding what's going on and putting these things together. Remember, modern day world of mental health, if you've got a sore knee, you go to the physio. If you're struggling with things internally, you go see a psychologist or a psychiatrist. It's not a big deal anymore, but working on this can actually make a big difference.
I think you could use some assistance right now, but all I can offer you is this. I'll be the only person in the world, other than your family, who doesn't care that you're the president.
The world's going to keep being complex. The organisation itself can do the best it can to try to get things sorted out, but we can do some work ourselves. Key point though, You are not a failure if you're still struggling. It takes work over a period of time. The good news is you'll look back on yourself and you'll think, geez, that situation that just popped up, it worried me quite a lot, but I think I handled it better than I would have 2 or 3 years ago. And that's where we find ourselves. Modern world of work, this is all going to go on. We need to do some things to try to address it. The good news is we're all going to get through. Because remember, the people that love you have always loved you because of who you are and not how you perform. I'll see you next time.